Hey HTDA, and today we're playing some more Mindustry. Last time around we populated these islands quite significantly actually. Look at all those resources flowing in, and we unlocked a massive amount of new stuff on the technology tree. And in between this episode and the last one, I actually just idled around a little bit and made sure that I put all the resources into these technologies that I could. So it basically means I need either phase fabric or thorium to unlock everything else that I currently have, well, accessible. If that is going to be leading to yet even more technologies, I don't know. I guess we're going to find out one way or another. We seem to have a lot of new levels available to us that you can pretty much play in whatever order. There's a couple of them that are still locked behind something else, and Frontier seems to be one of the things that is mainly blocking us. If you look at the technology tree, yeah, Frontier is what we need to be able to unlock anything down this angle. Same thing over here. So long story short, I think we need to go for the Frontier. And the nice thing is that actually comes with an enemy base, and after all of this type of defense levels, I feel like taking the fight to the enemy for once. In order to get myself a head start in this level, I decided to make a little bit of a blueprint for my starting facility, as I was recommended by a lot of you in the comments. Thank you for that, because I don't think the game actually tells you this. Not entirely sure actually, but yeah, the basic idea about this starting facility is that I'm going to be producing monos, as well as, I don't know what the upgraded version of that is, but the ones that help you build your base. Basically so that I can do some mining as well as some faster construction straight from the get-go. And now we have the unloader block. We can actually make sure that we use the resources that we start out with to fuel all of this. Now that is going to mean I'm going to run out of graphite and silicon really quickly, but we can bring a fair amount of that with us. I'm also generating some power in this block, so let's see if this actually works. And there we go. I just want to mention that I'm intentionally not trying to look too much up, because otherwise, well, if you know what to do, this game becomes pretty trivial, I think. So I'm figuring it out as we go along. Now, what is this? The additive reconstructor upgrades tier 1. Yeah, I already know this. Not entirely sure why the game is trying to teach me this at this point. There is probably a different type of order that we could use, build things in, but yeah. We've already done that. Now, these are thermal generators. Wow, that is really nice. We're going to start out with a lot of power to begin with. There's a scatter over here. Where's the enemy gonna come from? It looks like to be over here. Not entirely sure why it's showing up. They might have just built a unit, I guess. So that means that the enemy base is somewhere over there. So that is, I guess, in this direction, unless we are supposed to be using only flying units. We also have some outdated drills over here that are trying to make some, or they are making some graphite that goes into these hill units over here. Can I use, let's see. So we have the thermal generators over here that are on this, I don't know what type of floor this is, but it is apparently something that you can build these on. Look at that, 250%, and if I move it off this, then it's at a lower percentage. Now, I'm actually wondering, this purple floor, does that work with elevators? Doesn't seem to affect its efficiency at all. Okay, so let me get my bearings for a moment, and then we're going to start building. Okay, so there's a couple of things to note. We don't have a lot of water on this particular map, at least not in the immediate vicinity by the looks of it. So we're not going to be able to boost just about everything that we see. However, I don't think that's necessarily going to be the problem. This seems to be a pretty straightforward map, honestly. We do have some titanium on the map, so that is nice. I'm also just going to, I think, delete everything that we start out with. Mostly because this is trying to make monos, which I am already making over here. And sure, we do, well, we can actually keep these ones, I guess. We do want to start making some tier 1 and tier 2 units in order to attack the enemy. Actually, I'm just going to delete those for now as well, because I want to set up this area over here to make as much silicon and graphite as I can, so we can get those tier 1 and tier 2 units up and running in a more efficient manner using all the technology that we unlocked in the previous level. As a side note, I've gotten into the habit of trying to delete all these little nodes on the map just because they really annoy me. But it turns out you can actually delete those off the map or queue them to be deleted, even in the fog of war. So you can kind of use this to scout out what the map it looks like. And it looks like that if we could build a lot of air units, we can just fly straight over into the enemy base over here. I'm not entirely sure if that's going to be a feasible tactic, but you can definitely see that ground units are going to go like this, and air units can just fly straight in from over here. So actually I was going to set up some pyrite power production, but since we have a lot of thermal generators already and we have plenty more space to build some of those, that seems to be kind of useless. So I'm going to dive in straight to the silicon and graphite. Alright, so here we go. This little facility over here is going to pump out quite a bit of silicon and graphite already. It is going to rely on these two drills over here to make some sand that is going to go into the silicon crucible, as well as the pyrite mixer over here that is going to combine some coal, sand and lead and make that pyrite that is going to combine the coal and sand and pyrite into a lot of silicon. On top of that, we have the multipress here making the graphite as well. Only needs a little bit of coal, well actually quite a lot of coal and water, but then it's going to be pumping out the graphite that you can already see on the belt over here. Thanks to the power supply that I started out with, that I'm now also completely using, I am mining quite a bit of resources already with my laser drills. So I am just going to add a couple of these thermal generators to the mix. Might as well just use up all the resources we have over here. And then that should fix the problem for the foreseeable future. I also really like that I have a couple of polys following me around, helping me build. And as you can see, that definitely speeds things up significantly. How are we doing on power? Plus 1k, yep. Now let's start making some units. So I've actually decided to relocate my production of the graphite and silicon to over here, so I can just have this very long supply line run into my main base and thereby siphoning off all the resources I need to build those tier 1 and 2 units along the way. As you can see, the tier 1 unit production over here is saturated now, so there's silicon coming through, so that should allow me to build some more tier 1 and tier 2 production over here. And well, that looks something like this. I am now producing the level 2 flying units over here and here. I intentionally put the polys near the end because, well, I already have a couple of those, and I think for now that's just fine. And I'm producing all the tier 2 ground units along with the tier 1 upgraded units. What are they called? The Novas, as well as the Pulsars. They are going to be produced. It's going to take a while for this to actually start working, but yeah, once it does, we should be doing just fine. Look, the first tier 2 units are already coming in, and I'm already starting to gather quite a bit of an army, honestly, if you look at this. So, you know, that only took me just a couple of minutes to build in terms of game time. In the real time, it took me quite a bit longer to set all of this up, but yeah, it looks to be working just fine. Alright, so it seems that building some of these upgraded units unlocked the rest of the map, and well, there's quite a bit of an anti-air defense on the sides, as I noticed, because I want to just move my units in here. I was like, I can take a couple of scatter towers, and then everything got wiped out. I forgot to record that, apologies for that. Honestly, it might still work, because as you can see, I took out some of the supply lines over here. But yeah, I am going to be very careful, and I'm just going to wait for my ground army to amass. We are going to be attacked at some point, but I don't think one enemy is going to do a lot against this entire force over here. I also built some anti-air defense along with one of those mend projectors that we unlocked last time. One mend projector is going to be able to repair all of that. That's going to be awesome. And yeah, this is, I think, the most likely area where they're going to attack me by air. If they're going to go by ground, well, I wish them a lot of luck, because my army is ready for them. Well, I'm capped out on level 1 units, and as you can see, I'm adding quite a few level 2 units to that as well. So I am just going to move in and see what we can do if we just start shooting at everything that seems to be getting in our way. Just interrupting some of these supply lines actually seems like a worthwhile thing to do as well. And I am just waltzing all over this, it looks like. Yeah, this is not going to be a problem whatsoever. It does feel like one of the most efficient ways to take out the enemy is just to focus on these supply nodes. As long as the enemy is not repairing themselves, they are going to run out of ammo pretty quickly. And the same holds for the power. I mean, these arcs are not doing anything if they're not powered, so just taking out a couple of these power nodes, make sure that they can't really fight back anymore. And there we go, the entire enemy base is now blowing up. Can I delete this? That would be very nice, because I definitely want to, well, rebuild some of this, but in my own way, preferably. And the enemy base was really easy just to stomp over with the mass units production that I was doing. So, definitely a little bit of a tutorial level on, I guess, how to upgrade units. A little bit weird in terms of what we've been doing already. But nonetheless, it was a fun little interaction between us and the enemy base that was a little bit different from just continuously defending ourselves. So, I enjoyed that one. I hope you did too. If you're still here, you are awesome, and I do hope to catch you in the next one.